Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online. It's great to be back in far north Queensland. It's time now for the 9th annual Atherton car, bike and swap meet on this week's Classic Restos. Thanks to Dalli's Auto Electrical and, of course, Donny at Atherton Auto Wreckers, they bring you this every year. A fantastic car show in a lovely part of Queensland. Just over an hour west of Cairns, North Queensland, the township of Atherton is home to over 7,000 people. Laced with surrounding tablelands and rainforests, it's the perfect environment to bung on a classic show for eager local enthusiasts. Very long car here behind me, the Eldorado. I'm going to start filming it. It's 10 to 8 now. I'll start at the back and I should get to the front around about 3 o'clock this afternoon. And not wasting any time, getting straight into it. How you doing, Scott?
Not too bad, Fletch.
That's good, mate. Now, you just got this car, 1970 XY. It looks beautiful sitting here on the grass.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, we just bought it about 3 weeks ago. Been just fixing up some of the paint, tidying it up, just trying to make it pretty. And yeah, it's a half-finished project at the moment, but yeah, we're getting there slowly.
Do you think, when you say half-finished project, to me it looks fully finished. This is a beautiful-looking car. To buy this car, not knowing a lot about the history, the paint, even feeling the paint, Scott, it's sensational.
Without knowing the car, we removed all the wax and polish off the vehicle. Clay blocked it, then we started sanding any defects and imperfections, and then slowly bringing the shine up without using any waxes. And then started coating it with a ceramic coating that we use to lock in the shine. So later on we won't have to polish it and do things like that.
Good on you, Scott. You could have just told me you resprayed it. I wouldn't have known any different.
No, not yet. No. I'd love to restore it properly. I don't have that sort of money.
Mate, we look inside the car, Scott. It looks fantastic. The original radio on the dashboard, original steering wheel. You've really scored yourself a gem here. Is this your first XY?
Yes, it is. It's first Ford, actually. I've usually had Monaros and Toranas in my younger day, but something about it just got my attention. It stood out. It sounds great. It goes hard, and it's just a beautiful looking car on the road.
Isn't it interesting? There's just some models through all the marks that no matter where your heart lays with a particular brand, you've got a soft spot for. So it's good that you've had your Holdens and now you're trying the Ford, and look, they're all iconic things, aren't they?
Definitely. I mean, I've been loving cars since I was young. Now I've got my kids, and we go to Canberra every year for the Summernats, hoping to take this.
But you've done well though, scoring an XY. I mean, they're not the easiest cars to buy now.
No, me and one of the young lads that work with us, we took off a couple of weeks ago and spent 10 days on the road just looking at, drove all the way down to Sydney, looked in Brisbane, and just this one just popped and it was just nice.
Good on you there, Scott. Well, that's a great story. And this is what we love, to hear these stories. People have just bought their cars, haven't had them that long, don't know a lot about the history, and they start with what they've got. And wow, what a great foundation you've got here, Scott. Keep up the great work, mate.
Thank you very much.
Time for Joe this here show day. Joe, how are you?
Good, Fletch.
Mate, what are you doing? Have you come in here to plough up the joint?
No, not quite, Fletch. I brought my big banger in because I wanted to show her off a little bit. It's a thing that's close to my heart. Massey Ferguson have always been in our family. My dad had Massey Fergusons, and we've just kept them going over the years. We've since been a little bit unfaithful to Massey Ferguson. We've got other tractors now. I won't mention any names, but yeah, it's a pride of our fleet. It really is.
Joe, I've never heard. Well, I have heard some fantastic sounding tractors, but this is up there. I heard you. I don't know, maybe half a k away on the approach here to our field here for the show today. It sounds absolutely incredible. I love the look of this thing. It's big when you're up close. It's a big tractor, an 1155, complete with corrugated iron sidings around the engine. How cool's that?
It is, and that's the beauty about these tractors. You can buy parts from at Bunnings. Look at it.
And your local farm.
And yeah. No, the problem we had with the panels, we couldn't get them in time for the field day. We had a big field day in Mareeba there about a month ago, and we had to dress her up as best we could, and that's the best we could do. Yeah.
The engine that's come with this truck, I know it's a Perkins. What can you tell us in terms of the power, Joe, the cubic capacity?
Well, it's 550 cubic inch motor. In the tractor pulls, they put me in the 150 to 170 horsepower category. But it don't matter where you put it, this old girl, she'll perform anyway. And it's very reliable and it does the job.
Now, Joe, you're part of a tractor club. Quickly tell us about that.
Oh, well, I'm part of the North Queensland Tractor Pulling Club and also part of the Northern Motoring Club. I've been in it for a few years now, and it's great to see that these events come together because of these clubs.
And always welcoming new members, obviously, all the time.
Of course, yes. Oh, yeah.
And I guess too, I'm speaking on the behalf, even if you don't have a tractor, but you've just got that interest to come along and be a part of it.
They're the sort of people we get, people that don't necessarily bring a vehicle along, but are still interested to follow up, because there's a lot of history there. Like I often get approached by different people, say, oh, I can remember my grandfather had a tractor like this, or my uncle had a tractor like that. And even like our military army jeeps, the amount of people just driving around town, as you pull up somewhere, someone always comes over and wants to talk to you about it. And there's a relationship there of some sort, with the past. This old Army Jeep, 1944 Ford, it had a bit of bad luck there about 3 years ago. It got caught up in a hay fire, and it got fairly badly singed. And it was so much so that when I drove it out of the shed, the seats were on fire, and the fuel tank is under the seat. I drove it out of the shed while it was smouldering, and it was just like family. That's how important it was to me. I had to save it. But the good thing about it, once everything had settled down, I got onto Shannons Insurance to tell them about my mishap or my problem, and they were absolutely fantastic. I couldn't say enough about it, how wonderful their service was, and everything was just dealt with so promptly and so efficiently that all I can say is how great they were. Well, this is my pride and joy, this and my Massey Ferguson 1155 tractor, and I'm so pleased they're both on the road and both back in my life.
When I was a kid, I loved cars.
I've been a motoring enthusiast all my life.
My life is hot rods, designing them, building them, and racing.
Hand-built with a stainless steel roof.
I've won the Monte Carlo Rally 4 times.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man.
In '71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world.
Insurance? Shannons, of course.
When it comes to cars, there are some brands that will remain with us forever, no matter what. The Holden was always Australia's own car, held high in the hearts of many. Those lines, that chrome, the stories around them, and the people that owned them. From the classic through to the final, you can still trust in genuine Holden and AC Delco parts, available through the Holden Certified Service Network. Have a look for your nearest Holden Certified Service Centre at holden.com.au, and let's keep supporting Australia's own. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, good, thanks, Fletch. Yeah.
That's good. How do you feel at being at the biggest Atherton show for the year of 2021? Record numbers.
Unreal, absolutely unreal, mate.
I don't know where they're coming from, but they're piling in.
Millions and millions of dollars here today.
Yeah. We've got way over 100 cars. I think the biggest number of bikes as well.
Yep, that's correct, yeah.
Now, speaking of which, Steve, I've got to say I'm a Burt Munro tragic. I love the history of the Indian, and this 1927 bike that you've got here really stands out. Well, it's a fantastic colour, but besides that, what can you tell us about this one?
Oh, mate, it originally came out of Albury, Wodonga. a gentleman down there advertised it, and I bought it, and then I didn't have any money, and anyway, I was working in a fishing village, and I went to sea, and we put it on the back burner for a lot of years, and then a friend of mine came up and said, "I'll give you a hand to do it, Steve," and I bought a big shipping container. We had it in there. We painted it. He painted it while I was at sea, and it was this colour, and he just on the frame, sorry. And then I had to carry on with that colour. And I really hate to annoy the purists, but that's how it is.
Yeah, that was one of my questions. Were these colours around back in 1927?
No, the colours came out about 1947, yes, but not on the Scouts.
I think when the colours did come out too, the pastel era, a lot of pastel-y type colours, weren't they?
Right, yeah, that's correct, yeah.
When we look at the mechanical side of this bike, Steve, tell us the capacity of it.
It's a 600cc. Yeah.
And when we talk of Burt Munro and the way that he got his Scout engine to rev so hard by doing some modifications to it, even to this day, are you still extremely surprised with what he did back in that time?
Oh, good Lord! Yeah, when you look at the crankshaft and the pistons, because he done a lot of modifications to it, of course, but.
Because considering too, we're talking a guy that worked in his shed at home in his yard. We're not talking a factory production here with access to foundry and machining and precision workmanship. He did it himself at home.
Yeah, that's right. Unreal, mate.
Now, Steve, with this particular bike, how long have you had it, mate?
25, 30 years.
You've got a few Indians, haven't you?
I've got this one. I've got the 44 Chief, and I've just recently bought a 2016 Scout.
Not a silly question. I realise it's the basis of a 1927 bike here, but how does it ride? Is it enjoyable to ride?
Oh, you need a kidney belt. No, it's good, mate. Yeah.
Like you hear of guys that I don't ever profess to be a rider. I've always said that, but I always respect the ones that do ride, and they're still a machine in my eyes. I still have an interest, but the handling characteristics of the bike, for what it is for 1927, does it still turn in nicely?
Oh no, beautiful. Yeah, you can lay her over. Yeah. Yep. Really? Same as the Chief. You know, you can just got to sort of flick your backside out, and it'll lay over.
You just got to know how to talk to it,
so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, good on you, Steve. That's really cool, mate. Well done. Thanks for turning up here today.
No, thank you, Fletch. You take care, eh?
That's okay. Now, there's a whole row of bikes here of all different brands, and it's just so good to see the variants, the different types that have come out today. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It really is, mate. I can't get over it, actually. I've never seen so many bikes here.
All right. Well, you go and enjoy yourself, Steve. It's been a pleasure catching up with you, mate.
Okay, then you take care.
How you doing, Owen?
Yeah, very well, thanks, Fletch.
That's good. That's good, mate. Now, as I mentioned to Steve earlier, being a little bit of a Burt Munro tragic, well, we know that Burt used to ride the Velocette as well. Right. The bike behind us here, very similar. What can you tell us about it?
Okay, so it's a 19...
Oh, by the way, you're a pretty tall sort of a bloke.
Yeah.
And the bike's up on the stand here. You like everything high, don't you?
Well, you know, I've got a long back, so the less bending I've got to do, the better, isn't it, eh?
Long back?
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a 350cc Velocette. It's a 1948 motor in a 1938 frame. The motor's been tuned up pretty well, and it's run on Lake Erdna in South Australia to go, and it has set a new land speed record in its class. A fellow by the name of Peter Mounsey owns the bike, and he got this idea in his head of setting a new land speed record on the motorbike. So between him and his mate Stuart Hooper, they put this machine together, and in 2019 Pete set a new speed record on a 350cc pushrod motor at 93.8 miles an hour, and he still holds that record. Now, he's a bit of a character. At the time, he was 91 years old. We took the bike back to the salt again in March this year to try and get three figures, in other words, 100 miles an hour. Of course, he was nudging 93, but unfortunately the event got rained out. So he said, well, we're going to go again next year, and they'll be nudging 94 next year. And
94 years of age for 94 miles an hour, Owen, that wouldn't be a bad accolade either.
Right, that's it. That's the one, eh? And he said to me the other day, well, you know, 100 mile an hour, 100 years of age. So
it's remarkable the technology that went in, primitive technology that went into these older bikes we take Bert Munro, for example, who set that record for the under 1,000cc class, Owen, and I believe that in this last handful of years, that record, Bert's record, has been broken, but the rider that did it didn't want the record or the history books changed, just out of sheer respect for Bert, to keep that record there in his legacy, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, very noble, just brilliant.
Thank you, Owen. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks very much, Fletch. This pleasure's mine as well.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man. The Falcon Squire wagon was unloved in 1964, but turns heads today. The Americans call them Woodies, but the panelling, it's just fiberglass and plastic. But it's a passion that Shannons understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannons. And now, so's the home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
They may not be making the classic Holden anymore, but the legacy lives on. You can still have a Holden certified service using genuine Holden and AC Delco quality parts at over 180 centres across Australia. Go to holden.com.au to find your nearest centre. Book your Holden in, maintain the pride. And here we are. The 2021 Atherton car, bike and swap meet, and of course Shannons are here. How are you, Ian?
I'm well, Fletch, and yourself?
Good, mate. Good to be back.
Good to see you back again. Yes, it's really, really cool that you can come up here again this year.
Absolutely. Now, you're here every year. You never miss a beat.
No. At all the car shows, in the car to the Cape area.
Yeah.
And just love it. Yeah, it's really great.
You cover a big area, don't you?
Yeah, we do, but I think that's part of the game, and got to fly the flag.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
So, Ian, tell us what's happening up here in far north Queensland with Shannons.
I think probably the greatest innovation at Shannons at the moment is the roadside assist. That's just been released. I think that's the greatest innovation that I could think, and every day's different. You know, everything's different. It's incredible the following that they have. It's incredible that the focus that they have. It's I'm really, really proud to be part of their organisation.
And of course the ongoing competitions as well.
Of course, yes. Always got a competition on, so you get a quote and you get part of the competitions, and that's really innovative. Well, it's not innovative. It's been going for a lot of years, but people come for that.
What I enjoy too is when I get around to the car shows that I do attend over all these years, is the Shannons people remain pretty well the same. Like you don't see a huge turnover of different faces. There might be some new faces that come along and join, but there's the mainstays like yourself, and that's always a good sign as well.
Well, that's because they look after us. It's, they're a great company to work with.
Yeah.
I really enjoy working with them. As you're probably aware, I retired a few years ago and took this on board as a gig.
Yeah.
And just enjoy it. Just love going and talking to people, like-minded people every day of the week. So.
Well, when it comes to motoring shows, and Shannons are like salt. They're in everything.
Yep. For sure. And the support that they give local sporting organisations, local car clubs, and whatever the case may be, is just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, and it's becoming a household name.
And of course, to a big part of Shannons, the online side of things with the Shannons Club. What a comprehensive website that is. There is just so much content there. They're local in-house productions, but there's stories. Enthusiasts can interact with other enthusiasts as well.
Sure.
The competitions are there online as well. It's a massive part of the business, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly. And people come and ask different questions about different things, or tell me different things they've seen on the Shannons site.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. It's really is incredible. It's really been well done.
So, Ian, wonderful seeing you again, mate.
Yeah, great. Thanks for coming again, Fletch. It was really great to see you again.
Good on you, mate. Have a great day.
Thank you again.
How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, good, Fletch.
Mate, that's great. Thanks for coming along. You've got an incredible 1977 CL Val here in all of its exuberance. Have a go at this, eh? The Drifter. Mate, what's the story here?
Oh, mate, I've known about this vehicle for about 20 years. It belonged to a mate of mine. He's had it tucked away in a shed out west, and after 20 years of badgering, and he had a little bit of time off work, got a bit crook, but he come good now. But in between all of that, he finally decided he'd part with it, and I was the first call
Isn't it cool? It's up there with the Sundowners, with Fords, and of course the Sandmans, and you just don't see many of these around now. The quality of this car, Tony, in around the dashboard's beautiful. The steering wheel with a bit of a repadding there around the rim of the wheel looks fantastic. And of course the 4-speed single rail sitting in there as well. Yeah. What a package. 318 up front. You won't bust that puppy in a hurry.
No, it's tough as, and 90% of the interior's original, the seats, the door linings. I put a new carpet in it, but all the console, all the dash pad, everything's original. So it's, it was quite a well looked after vehicle.
Yeah. Tony, I've got to ask, are you a single man by any chance?
Yeah, well, I am actually.
Yeah, I thought you might have been, because when you look in the back of this thing, it's very hopeful. It's very nicely appointed there. The mattress with your with the fleecy fur on there, and wow, you've just stepped back into 1977 there, haven't you, Tony?
Yeah, well, that's just the era more than anything for both of us.
Speaking of panel vans and Shannons Club with Classic Restos, if you go there and do a search for the Panel Van Nationals, there's an episode there, and the workmanship and the extent they go to with some of the vans, they are works of art.
Oh, yeah, there's some beautiful vans around, yeah.
Tony, where's it go back with you? Have you always had a bit of a fetish for the vans?
Look, just anything classic for car and motorbikes generally, but I'd been after a drifter van since I'd seen this one when I was a kid. It's actually the same vehicle, and I just couldn't find one ever come up for sale, and ended up getting the one that used to drive past our school when I was a young fella.
Yeah. That's great history, isn't it? And when we look inside, it's still got the original Ks there. I think 320,000 or so.
Yeah, original Ks. I haven't done the motor up. I'm not sure if me mate ever done it. May have had a set of rings at some stage, but it's all a matching engine. And
in most cases, we've got to do an engine rebuild. It's not necessarily because they're worn out, but when they sit and leaks, and got to put a gasket set through them or what have you. But tough as bricks up front. The old 318. They're an incredible V8 engine. They really are. And if you put a 4-barrel on one, boy, that wakes them up too.
Yeah, I'm surprised how this thing's bog stock, and I'm surprised how it gets along as it is. Yeah.
No, they're a good thing. Now, talk about the psychedelic colour scheme. That just takes you right back into the 70s as well. Obviously, that's when these vehicles were designed. But it's just so nice on the paddock today to see one in such fantastic condition, Tony.
Yeah, it took me and me mate Zach from Doghouse Industries about 2 weeks just to set the stripes out, just to plot them out. We took a lot of measurements just to get everything perfect. We sort of took a lot of measurements before we stripped the vehicle down and made sure we had everything. And then we got all the correct paint codes, and that was one of the biggest jobs actually, was the stripe work on it.
Good on you, Tony. Good on you, mate. Thank you very much for coming along and bringing the drifter van. Again, just a bit of an idea of the variants that you find here at Atherton. If you can get here for next year, try and put it in your diary. It's well worth the trip. Good on you, Tony. Thank you, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Fletch.
I say to the bloke that's looking after me today, any chance I could get a bottle of water? A bit hot up here in North Queensland. He comes back with this. He says, Fletch, this is the best we can do. There's no more bottled water left. Now, I've been given a drink over the years out of a few things, but never this. Yeah, puss, 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 puss. With me now, this lovely lady, Jackie, and the daughter of Don Blandford from Atherton Auto Wreckers, the event organiser for this year's show. How are you, Jackie?
I'm good, thanks, Fletch. How are you?
Fantastic. You're dressed to the nines.
I sure am.
Now, what's your message for 2022 for the girls?
Ladies, if you can get dressed up in your rockabilly gear and be here for 2022, the 10th anniversary of the show, that would be fantastic. I highly recommend you do it.
Some of the rockabilly shows I've been to, the effort that you guys go to with the polka dot dresses and the hairdos, and it looks sensational. But girling up for the day lets you be girls. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's a really good way for the two worlds to meet, the car world and the girly world, and it's great fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jackie, on that note, through your eyes, thoughts on this year's event?
It has been such a good show. I think this has been the biggest show they've ever had. The weather is phenomenal. It's been a great turnout, and I'm just honestly so pleased for Dad and all of the workers that have worked so hard on this show. Like, credit to them. It has been great.
Yeah, Don, he puts his heart and soul into it, doesn't he?
He really does. Yeah.
No, that's great. All right, Jackie, well, there you go. Girls in the Diary for 2022, Atherton, far north Queensland, if you can get here. It's great to girl up, look fantastic, and come along and have a bit of fun as well. Thanks very much, Jackie.
Thanks, Fletch.
Well, there you have it. That's a wrap. And you know when you've had a big day when you are the last to leave the paddock. It's a big hats off this year to Donnie from Atherton Auto Wreckers for organising a record-breaking event. The most numbers from people off the street and people entering their vehicles into the field. I hope you've enjoyed it. Until next week, no matter where you're watching Classic Restos from, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. But before I do go, I'd like to leave you with some words from a late past friend in the United States of America, Wes Myrick. And Wes always said that happiness is when you had a full tank of gas. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, where you can sign up to be a member of the Shannons Club, your local Holden certified service centre, Pace Farm the enjoyable egg, and Heron Forbes Machinery House, where you can buy online.